Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on note-taking with OneNote, brought to you by the Academic Resource Center at Georgetown University. Today, I'm going to go over several features of OneNote, which is Microsoft's note-taking platform. If you have Word or Excel installed on your computer, you may already have this downloaded and maybe you've never used it before. So we're going to start with just a general orientation of how the program works, and then I'm going to go into a few of the specific, more advanced features that I think make note-taking really interesting on this platform. As always, feel free to add any questions to the chat at any time. So just to get you generally started with OneNote, currently in OneNote now, and what we have here is a file that's called a notebook. So OneNote refers to one whole set of tabs up here at the top as one notebook. And then each of these tabs is a different section. So already you can organize based on class versus homework, in-person, virtual, however you want to manage these. Now, within each section, you can also have different pages, which you can see over here on the column on the right side. So right now I'm in a class on genre, and this whole section of the notebook is for this genre class. And I've dated a separate page for each class. So we have September 5th, September 10th, September 12th. This makes it a really easy way to figure out what information I'm looking for where and to stay organized in a straightforward way. Creating a new section is pretty easy. All we have to do is create our section. We'll title this one Calculus, just Calc. And then we can title our page, and that will title it on the side here as well. So if I want to title this class notes, it automatically fills in the title on the right-hand side. Another nifty feature is if I go up to insert, and I just want to click on date, it will automatically put in the date. It's an easy little hack. So super easy to make a new section. And that's one of the benefits of OneNote. There are ways to make it more complicated, but you can just open a page, take notes very simply. It's as easy to set up as it is to take notes in a notebook, which I very much appreciate. So if I wanted to start taking notes in this new page, I can just click anywhere and start typing. So I clicked, I'm going to write the limit does not exist. There we go. We've got our first note. So in terms of creating text, that we can do very simply. We can leave it as is. We certainly can edit this though as well. And you're going to see a lot of features that you see in Microsoft Word, but in OneNote, you might be inclined to use a little bit more intelligent features, so to speak. So for example, if we click on home at the top, we get our general sort of Microsoft Word format heading. We can change the text color, we can make it bold, we can change the font. So we can format this as we would any other Word document. Something that I tend to use in OneNote that maybe I don't use in Word are these features called tags. So they appear up here over in the upper right-hand corner of the home menu. With tags, what I can do is either click there, or I can even just right click on my text box. Here I have my usual text formatting, and up here we can tag as to do, or we can insert a different kind of tag. So basically these are categories: to do, important, question, remember for later, definition. I'm going to tag this as remember for later. It highlights it. It's an important piece of information, but the tag isn't just a shortcut. It's also a smart tag where I can actually find in this whole notebook different items that I've tagged with this. So if I want to go to home again, and I go up to the tag section, we look at find tags. It brings up a screen over here on the right hand side, and up at the top, because I have several in remember for later, it brings them all up. So if we click on them, it will take me to that place in the notes. Read Act 1 for Friday. So a lot of these, what I've put here and remember for later, are homework assignments. Here I have choose one genre to do a presentation on, read Act 1 for Friday, read this piece by Linda Hutchison, and then the limit does not exist. So in that sense, we can make different categories, as you can see here, and have different tag names, but this document can locate items for us within this single notebook. So if you're interested in learning more about tags and how they work, we did a webinar that's on our YouTube page last year called Tracking Assignments with OneNote, and there we delve into the tag feature a little bit more. If you are just starting out with OneNote and you want to sit down and take notes, but you want it to be a little more organized than just typing in a Word document, a great way to get started are templates. So with templates, these are automatically created to-do list, note-taking formats where you can add a pre-formatted bullets, as we see here, easily, and then edit them as needed. So they are pretty easy to add. If we go up to the top to insert, we can go over to page templates, and some will show up right at the top. If you click on page templates at the bottom, ... it'll give us the full list. So a lot of the ones I like in here are either in academic or in planner. Decorative are actually just different backgrounds. They're more fun. You can have different colors. But if we wanted to add our simple lecture notes template, this is what it looks like. We have a spot to put homework, most important facts covered today, today's topic, and it leaves the title blank so that we can put the date in here if we want. And then again, automatically at the side, this gives us our heading to match what we put here. So this one is simple lecture notes. A few of the other templates I like: detailed lecture notes, gives you a subpage, as it says, for each lecture topic. And then at the end, it prompts you to summarize. Likewise, we have lecture notes and study questions. Here we have a section for homework, announcements, and topics at the top. The lecture topic, a general summary, and then some study questions at the end. So this is a really good template if you want to come back to your notes after class to help with retention. There are also some excellent templates for planners. We have simple to-do list, just check mark, it's ready to go. You can add things, check them off. Read Act 1. And as you can check things off, but you can also drag them and rearrange them as you add them. So this is a really great space to have a homework list. We also have prioritized to-do list if you want to rank what's most important versus least important. And then I also like this project to-do list. This is great if you have a bigger assignment or something like job applications, even, where you need to work on breaking down the planning steps, preparation steps, and so on. So these are just a few of the pre-made templates that if you want to get started, you can just go in, add one at the beginning of class, and start taking notes, and you don't have to structure anything. Having said that, you might want to go into more detail in getting your OneNotes page organized, especially if you are in a class that uses slides. So one thing that is really easy to do in OneNote is work with slides. I'm going to show you how to add slides that have been saved as a PDF. So there are two ways. First, you can go to Insert, and then we are going to go to File Printout. You can also attach a file that will add it as an attachment if you don't need it to appear on the page and you just want to refer to it. But for note taking, I'm going to click File Printout. I'm going to find my file that I want to upload. And my screen's thinking about it. And then here we go. I'll just zoom out for a bit so you can see it's basically loaded all of these slides from a pretty hefty presentation onto this page. So that is one way to do it. The other way that's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to add a new page for this. We'll title this Formulas. Not sure how well you'll be able to see this because I'm sharing my screen, but you can just locate a file on your desktop and drag it, and it'll give you an option to do the same thing. So I just drag something from my desktop and now here it is. So really easy way to add files. Especially if you have slides that you want to annotate. There are a few different ways that we can work with slides once they are in our presentation. One really interesting feature that can be a bit quirky is that we can copy text from slides depending on the format. So if I right click on a slide and I go to copy text from this page of the printout, we copy, then I'm just gonna create a new text document, a new text block next to the slide just by clicking next to it. If I paste, I'm gonna keep text only. Here we have our text. It's maybe not perfect, but I can edit this now. This is especially useful if you just want to cut out certain elements, if we don't want all of this and we just want to highlight one item. So I could get rid of all of this, clarify, this is just what I want to see. Adaptations have an overt and defining relationship to prior texts. And then I can edit it either by going up here if I want to make it larger, if I want to change the color. So that's one really interesting aspect. There's also an option to copy text from all the pages of the printout. This is a long enough presentation that is going to be messy and not as helpful as taking it slide by slide. I think one of the best goals of doing something like this is to be able to clarify the text in slides so that you can either focus on the big picture or just kind of pull out the info you really need. So that is one excellent feature of this. You can also resize these and rearrange them in order to make this like a more workable document. That's one piece that's really interesting. We can kind of shrink a page just by pulling a corner and making it smaller, and then we can drag another slide up here. So really, if you have kind of an artistic mind, you can rearrange things. Normally I would zoom out, so these are smaller, which makes it easier to do. And then if we want to type notes for each slide, we can do that. Title slide. We have definition slide. So that's a really easy way to kind of personalize your notes when working with slides. And of course, if you really want to make these notes cleaner and make them more focused, you can even delete slides as well. So I might, for the first slide, just paste the article name. So I have it, and then I'm going to delete my title slide, and then I'm going to include my first slide up here. So there we've kind of streamlined things already. I think as you are like resizing things and getting rid of things, sometimes this can get a little bit messy. Right now I have this big blank space, but there's a really easy way to either add space or get rid of space. So if we go up to insert and we click on insert space, this same thing allows us to add or remove extra space. So I just pull this feature. To remove, I just kind of hold down and drag up. Now we're getting rid of space. Do that again. Just pull it up. There we go. And now we've got some extra space. Or if I want to add space, I use the same feature. You know, we're kind of making space so that we can take more notes. So really customizable if you find out there's information you need to add later. So those are some of our basic features of using slides when you first insert them. One piece that's really helpful as you move through the semester is the way that you can search, depending on format, you can search for specific terms within this document. So if we go up here in the corner for search and we put in, we want to find the term intertextuality. And see, it already started to come up. So if we put up we search for it, it will take us right there. All we had to do was click and it brings us to where this is in the text. And it will scan across different pages as well. So if I search for limit, there's a few places we have limit. So that will take us to what we said earlier, the limit does not exist. We also have it in formulas, and we have it in the text of Cymbeline, a Shakespeare play. So it allows us to navigate between these different pages really easily. So we can also, if we are, let me exit out of this. If we are working with slides, there's also a way to take them from being these text-based slides that were a PDF to make them pictures. If I come here and right click and click on set picture as background, now it's kind of treated more like a picture and less like text. So it loses a lot of the accessibility of what I just went over, but that can be really helpful if you want to include a background to help provide structure or to create a planner. So that's something we go over in our tracking assignments with OneNote webinar, if you're curious how to do that. We also have within OneNote, the ability to draw, which is something that, depending on what kind of classes you're in and your learning style, you may be more excited about. I think this is a feature that's especially great if you use an iPad for note taking. I'm on a laptop right now, so please forgive some of my handwriting you're about to see. We have a few different aspects to this. If we go up to the top, the draw feature, we have the ability to just choose a highlighter. So if we want to highlight something that's important, we can choose that and highlight on one of our files. We have different color pen if we want to really make sure we notice things. And we could add shapes. There's an eraser. One feature that I have had some mixed luck with, but we will kind of go over, we'll see how it goes, shall we say, is you can both use the draw feature to potentially turn your written notes into text. So we'll see how this goes. Again, my handwriting on here is not very good, so I have some very mixed results. But if we go to the draw feature, I'll use the black pen, and we are going to start by writing. We're going to write a math equation. We're in calc. I'm going to do sine, again, on a laptop with a mouse. This is looking okay. Sine squared x. And then we're going to say this is something we have for our test. This is just a written note. Which again, this would be more useful on an iPad if I can kind of write on this. So we have two different ways we can try this feature. For both of these, we're going to go to draw and then lasso select. The way that we use lasso select is we click and hold, and then we sort of draw like a circle around it. So that will select this text. We can try under draw first the option ink to math, excuse me. So it is turning it into math. Is that correct? It sure is. So now it's taken that and turned it into our equation. We can also try that for ink to text. For that, we're going to lasso again. Again, you're just kind of drawing a circle. And then we'll go back to draw up here at the top, ink to text. So it did it for tests. So this is a feature, definitely try it out to see if it copies your handwriting correctly. Mine, again, it had some mixed luck, shall we say. So there's one more feature I want to show you that I think is more helpful, not necessarily for in class so much as after class, and that is the ability to add a recording to OneNote. The quality for this can be kind of suspect, shall we say. But it's a good way to kind of add summary of material. So here I am I have a full text of Cymbeline, says able to upload an entire play in here. And I'm gonna go back to my hand. I'm going to delete some of this just to get things more clear cut. Delete all of that. So if I want to kind of clean up some of this material, we're going to go back up to insert space again. And then still have quite a lot of space. So we can jump to one of these other slides. If I want to add a recording to summarize some ideas, what I can do is very quickly go up to insert, record audio. You can also record video. And now that I've clicked it, it is recording. So the recording is going to appear right here. Right now, I can see the status of the recording by clicking on it. It's showing up here the time that it's taking. I can stop it, pause it, and then once I stop it, the recording appears right here. So this is something, again, it works better for smaller little snippets, and I think it's a great tool for summarizing large pieces of readings verbally or large pieces of notes after you have taken them, or even as a way to study. So this can be a good way to kind of clarify for yourself what the main idea is. And then if we want to get rid of this, we just can click on it, I just hit delete, and now it's gone. So again, I wouldn't recommend for using that in class necessarily because the quality can be a bit jumpy, but it's a great tool for summarizing after the fact. So those are some of the major features of OneNote. I've said this a few times, but I'd recommend checking out tracking assignments with OneNote, our webinar on our YouTube page, if this is helpful to you. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions in the chat. Otherwise, thanks so much for joining us today.